have a funny one because it just happened 2 days ago.
Okay.
So I wrote with this guy, Joshua Bassett, the other day. And he's from High School Musical. His ex-girlfriend is Olivia Rodrigo, who has a song.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course.
He's like the biggest song.
Oh, so he's the guy.
So anyway, we're writing. And my friend just kind of mentioned, like, he was wearing a hoodie and he goes, oh my God, like, your hoodie's so cool. I know the artist that's on your hoodie. And I had never heard of him. He's like, his music's dope. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe you know this guy. And I was like, oh, cool. I can't believe I want to know about this guy. So I like pick up my phone. Legit, this is like what happened. It was right in this room. Literally, like open the phone. I like, my Spotify wasn't open. And I kid you not, driver's license starts blasting.
Oh no.
Sean's Basement Banter.
Ladies and gents, everyone who's listening, welcome once again to a wonderful episode of Basement Banter. I am Sean, and of course, we got Woody in the house.
What up?
We got Bloody Todd in the house. And we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. We've already been chatting away, to be honest. And she's awesome. I'm going to let you know all about her. Officially, though, Jenna Andrews. She is a Canadian singer, songwriter, producer, and A&R. Man, listen, she makes me look bad. She's collaborated with people like BTS, Drake, Jennifer Lopez, Dua Lipa. And my current favorite, by the way, Lennon, Stella. And I just love her, man. Honestly, we're going to get into that later on. But anyway, welcome, Jenna, to our Basement Banter.
What?
How we doing, love? I'm good. I'm actually good. Like, I'm so lucky to be good. I know, literally. I mean, it's right.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? I'm actually good. Like an honest answer to how you doing.
Well, it's just because it's like, no, it's so honest. And you know, that's been the motto of this time in our lives, right? It's just like, be honest. We don't know, like, you know, it's taught us to like live our lives to the fullest because it's like, who thought we would be living through this?
Zoom.
You know what I mean? It's just like, actually, you still wake up every day and you're like, is this like real? Like,
no.
like somebody like, this is like some weird shit. So, but it's lucky to be good, you know? It's like, I haven't had Corona yet.
I know.
That's crazy.
It's a blessing. Jenna, you know what's so funny? I was thinking about it today, right? Because who was it? Somebody came in. It was the FedEx person. I had to sign for something. Didn't come in.
Oh my God. It was the FedEx person.
Yeah, just to let you know. And you know, and I'm from England, obviously, as you can tell. And the niceties, we don't do it as much as the Americans. So we just go, all right, mate, that's it. And they go, yeah, all right. And there's no answering the question. It's just, all right, mate. All right, mate.
Yep.
Here, of course, it's, hi, how you doing? Good, how are you? And then either way, nobody replies with an honest answer. Hey, how are you? Good, how are you? Good. That's it. And I was like, what? Just say hi, man.
I feel like people do that in the UK though, right?
Well, we would, because we're like, we would be like that. The postman would literally go, thank you for asking. It's a fucking shit day, to be honest. But, you know, that's just very much us.
But you know what? Like, that's what I really, because I'm Canadian and you mentioned that. And it was like I grew up in totally like the opposite where people like, how are you? Like, I'm great. Like, it's just like Pleasantville. Like, people are so passive. And it's just like, when I moved to New York, I love the grittiness of like people pushing you on the street and being like, you know, like they just can't be bothered with you. And I'm like, This is kind of like, I like this. I feel like it's a challenge, you know?
I do know because obviously I moved to New York as well. Now I'm in Jersey, obviously. But when I was working in New York, similar like you, hopping between LA. So I do all my writing and recording in LA, and then I live in New York. And I noticed that for me to make the transition from England to New York was way easier because of that kind of we were on that same kind of no nonsense bullshit. Whereas in LA, it's so industry that everyone's there to make it. So nobody's really having full real relationships. It's kind of just like, oh my God, okay, so wait, am I going to spend 2 minutes talking to you? And who is that though? Maybe they can help me. Why should I? Right?
100%. And it's always like, they're always like sussing you out. Like, who is that person? You know, if you're like in line at Starbucks and like all of a sudden you're like looking and you're like, oh, you look like you could be this, and just to like see it, and then like, you know what I mean? They test you like, oh, cool, like here's my card.
Could you be of use of me in a future career opportunity?
I'm like, but I'm, or like Uber, you know, obviously that's the classic one. It's like every Uber
script writers.
And it's like, you know, I respect it in the sense that like, I respect the hustle, like totally.
Yeah, of course.
But at the same time, like the sincerity, like that's the thing that I respect out of people, when it's like, you're hustling, but you still care about like the person, you know, like it's not like, it's so obvious when you literally could give two shits about the person, but you're just like so like focused on like serving yourself, and that I don't like, you know, like I feel like you're gonna hustle, like cool, but also like be a person, and like, you know, I like, that's why I like Canada and New York, like the whole, like coming from that perspective to this, it's like for me, I love it because it gives me that like, I'm not so passive. I'm super direct now, and I like always say how I feel, and I'm really open, but I really still try to be nice to people, like, you know, genuinely care.
Yeah, I get it. And you know, of course, us both being songwriters, that song, This City, kind of summed it up to me so much. The city is going to break your heart, you know what I mean? And it's like talking about Los Angeles, about how people come there. There's been a few beautiful songs about LA and how people come there to make it, but eventually 90% of the time will probably break your heart. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's notorious for that. And it's just, it's so, you know, it's crazy too about that feeling is you come to LA, right, with this dream and this openness and this vulnerability, and you get, it's like a vacuum. It's like all of a sudden it's like it's like, and you have to be like, no, don't suck in. It's just like, you know, and it's like once you're like sucked in, it's like you're like, it's almost like it's this like drug. It's almost, it's like you're hypnotized, you know what I mean? Like
just broken dreams and kombucha.
And right. No, but it's like, but the problem is that I think people lose identity, and they lose what initially drew them to that feeling. Because I think you forget what initially made you tick, because you're so caught up in like, oh, this is what I should be doing, or this is what everyone else like thinks is cool, or, you know, all these things. And I think that that's really distracting to like what the main thing is, you know, like what was the heart of it, and why are you even doing it?
So talking about that, what was that for you, and how did you protect yourself? You know, you've obviously clearly been through so much of the industry, all the different aspects, from being an artist yourself, singer, songwriter. Now you're on the business side of things and publishing and A&R. So I want to really, really delve into that, because I find that so fascinating, because clearly your spirit is super bubbly, and I can tell you're a super happy, jolly person. And I love that, because you've already been through it all. You've been through the system, and somehow you've come out all right, intact and happy. So how did you protect yourself at those moments where you went in, like, I'm sure you probably just from the beginning had dreams of being an artist, right? When you were on MySpace and you're putting your songs out and you're singing, you wanted to be an artist.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is it's funny that you say that, like people, like my exterior is so bubbly and so like, I'm so like, I come across that way, but honestly, like it's sort of my shield and how I protect myself from like the real emotions. Cause I'm definitely not like, if you were to really break it down, I have this, I really think that like that energy is so important to like what songs end up being, because you come in and you're like, hey, what's up? Like, I feel like if I were to wear certain emotions that I actually feel all the time and project it onto you, that's also like, you know, I'm a such a big believer of like manifestation, and what you put in the universe is what you get back, and all these type of things, right? So I act bubbly, and it's not fake, it's real, but I have so many different sides, like in terms of like what I actually feel. And it's like, no, I've been like eaten up alive by this business. But I also think that like, for whatever reason, like I think I just love music, and I love the challenge that this business brings so much, that it's just exciting. It's constantly like keeping me going. So in a way, I think it's made me not jaded, which I think is the part where when you lose your inspiration at any side of this business, whether you're like an executive or an artist or a songwriter or whatever you do, I think that's when you stop having good instincts, because you get so confused and lost. You know what I mean? So that's what jaded really means to me. So that's why, right? Yeah.
Listen, you just said something that made me think of something. Okay. what I find fascinating is this. When you are an artist, and artists are notorious for this, we are the most emotional, sensitive creatures on planet Earth because we pour our heart into our music. And to us, it's our baby. It's everything. It's literally like having a baby. You show the world, and like how everyone will go, oh my God, it's so cute. But you show your baby and some go, ugh, what the fuck is that? And other people go, oh my God, it's amazing. But a lot of people might go, what the fuck is that? No,
Exactly.
we're not playing that song. We're not listening to that. We're not playlisting that. But for you, it was everything. So
personal, yeah.
So personal. So okay. So how, when you're going through situations like that, when you're an artist and you put a song out and it hasn't been received and it hasn't had everything you wanted it to get and it hasn't had the plays and all that kind of stuff, but then you go and you see other songs that you as an artist and a songwriter are looking at going, really? Seriously, this? This is what's going to make it?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you not get jaded at that point? Explain to me.
Because I feel like that's a really good question. I mean, I'm trying to internalize why. It's just like, it's weird because I think like, okay, it is true because it makes you feel. In fact, I like wrote this song that I like loved yesterday, and that was like I that feeling came across my mind. I was like, if somebody says that they hate it, like tomorrow I'm gonna be so hurt. But it's like a week goes by and you can kind of take it more, you know, like because if it's fresh, you know, I guess to your example, like if you had a baby and you just had a baby and like the person come to meet the baby, like, oh my God, it's awful. You'd be like, what? Like, but I guess like if you had the baby and they're at home and then said that it wouldn't hurt. I mean, it would still hurt, but maybe not quite as much. It's like, I feel like that kind of stuff, it's like it happens more often and you sort of get used to it, but I don't know why. I think just more because I think as I've grown confidence, that would probably be my best answer, because I think for me, I think I've really tried to trust my instincts more and more. And I think I have seen it work. And I think that that's really gratifying. And and that's like a weird thing to say because that's also luck. And I know that's not always like the case, but I mean, I guess, but I do think it is when I think, again, back to the manifesting thing, because I think that if you genuinely believe something and you put it in the universe and you know that it's going to happen, you just know, you don't know why you know, but you know it will happen. And so I think because that's happened a couple of times to me, it gives me faith. All the other 100 million times that people hate the song or think it sucks or whatever, it makes it okay. Cause you're like, okay, well, I know that I'm doing something right because it's happened enough that it's like, okay, right. You're going to strike out sometimes.
Right. I mean, if it was, exactly. If manifestation worked in the sense that way I could wake up every day and wish for a new car and wish for a yacht and wish for this. You're not going to get everything you try to manifest for, but right. So I understand that. And I think maybe like you said something about you've grown. So perhaps you've gone from a position from going being so subjective about your work to being able to step back and objectively look at something and go, okay, I can understand why perhaps that wasn't for everyone. And I can understand why perhaps this that is on radio right now is resonating with this particular demographic who are the particular, they happen to be the big streamers. I can understand. And is that, do you think that would be a somewhat of an accurate summary of your growth?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that what happens to me, I think before, had I written a song that I absolutely adore and I think this song is going to be incredible and I play it for a bunch of people and they're like, no, I don't see it working. I think today I would be like, you're wrong. I'm right. Thank you. You know what I mean? And I will just keep pushing it and that song will live. And when it becomes like, knock on wood, if it becomes a hit or it does well, you can look back and be like, well, I believed in myself. I believed in the song regardless of whatever anybody told you. And that's what I think I've learned the most, because I think when you're coming up in your career, you're so like, you want to win and you want to be successful. So you think, oh, you want to respect the people that have done it before you or like, have more success than you. So you want to trust that, okay, well, they must be right. But you know what? That isn't what that means all the time. Like, and I know that you know that too, because it's like, listen, Max Martin has bad songs. Like people, like everyone has bad songs. You know what I mean? It's just like, we're human. So at the end of the day, if you have enough confidence and you believe that this song is supposed to be something, then I would not detract from that vision or like come off of that like road in the same way I would have 10 years ago. Because it's like, if somebody told me 10 years ago, this song's shit, I'd be like, okay, you're right. What should I do? Today, I would be like, I think you're wrong. Let's agree to disagree. Let's see what happens.
Are these experiences that have helped you shape and craft your podcast, The Green Room? Obviously, I know you've been a big advocate for mental health in the industry and mental and emotional wellness. Is like these experiences that you've been through, is that how that podcast came into existence?
Precisely. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's really funny actually, Jay, that you were asking too, in terms of like the jadedness and how do you keep going, not be jaded and stuff, because going into the mental health conversation, like even going back to my past, like I was bullied. I've dealt with many like situations to do with like, inappropriate behavior in men in this business as a young artist. I've dealt with like anorexia, like various things, like, and I think that it from a young age too. So I think, it was something to be so embarrassed of coming up as a kid. And you're like, oh, I can't tell anybody, like not even my parents, because they're not going to respect me and all these kind of things. But I think ultimately having that experience coming into music, not only has it given me more like thicker skin, but also it's given me a lot more to talk about. And I think it's like, without that, I don't think that's what drives me. I'm like, I'm going to stay up till 4 in the morning and just like fucking prove them wrong. It's just like, and I think that's something that a lot of us musicians can relate to each other on. And that's why I love The Green Room, because every time I've had anybody on there, it's always a similar thing. It's like, in their own respective stories, but it's like, yeah, this person told me, it's like, you were the biggest nerd in school. And, it's like it's the same like cliche thing. The popular kid is the one that like is calling you now to be like, bro,
of course,
friends, and it's like, that's cool. Like, it's not why we do it. You don't want to like live your life to impress somebody from high school. But I will say there's something really cool about being able to like, look, like to be proud of yourself. If I were to like look at my high school me and be like, dude, like I was like hated myself, and I'm like looking at my life now, I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Like I actually like did it. Like that's really driving.
That's amazing. I love that you're doing that, because you're right. I think to show weakness to show that things weren't exactly the vulnerability. To show vulnerability meant weakness a few years back. And I think now your bigger stars, like for example, the old school stars were told, oh, you can never show that you're sad or that this didn't happen. And every time you're doing an interview, you got to be perfect. You got to say this. If they say this, make sure you say this. But now, this day and age, in this generation, I'm seeing artists waking up out of bed with no makeup on, going, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I feel like shit today. I don't know if I can do this next leg of the tour. I'm really sorry, right? And they're coming from it's not a press release from the thing. It's just coming from the heart.
100%.
And yeah. And I think that the fans can see that now as well, right? So like, you can't bullshit the fans anymore. This is why I do this podcast, because I know that I'll say some stuff on this podcast where my fans are going, holy shit, man. See, this is the kind of stuff we wanted to hear. But in interviews, they never say this stuff.
Precisely. And I feel like, and I love that you're doing this. And I love that we can talk about this stuff, because that's why I go again, like going back to when you were like, oh my God, you're such a happy, bubbly person. It's like, yeah, I mean, I really like to put, like, I just feel like I'm all about energy and stuff, but I really like feel so passionate about being real to whatever I feel. So if you were to call me tomorrow and I was like having the worst day, I could be a completely different thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel I've never felt so confident in just being fully me. Like, I'm just like, I want to be able to just be like, if you do ask me, how are you? And I'm not that great.
Right.
Like, I will say, like, listen, like, it's been a tough time. Like, will I divulge everything? Maybe not. I feel that I really feel it's important to be honest for my own mental health, because repressing that feeling is really hard.
It's really hard, and it's lonely. And we're not built like that. We're not built like that. We were never built to deal with this much ever. We were never ever built, our brains were never ever built to be able to process this much information, this much stimulus, this much content, this many people's opinions, this many comments.
Well, you said before, we're not designed to be connected to every person on the planet.
Yeah, we're not.
And it's so funny. I don't know about you, but like, I'm definitely the kind of person that like, it's so hard for me to like, say, like, I always want to meet new people, have new relationships, try new things. So I always think about this when I'm taking on projects. Like, I'm so busy, and I'm like, even if I'm working like 20 hours and I'm sleeping for 4, I'll still take on another project if I love it, because I just can't help myself. It's just like, to your point of like, you can't have relationships with the whole world, but you're kind of like, oh my God, there's so much left I haven't done. Like, you know,
so that's what, is that what drives you? Is it a personal thing? Is it ambition, or what is it? Like, what makes you kind of go, once you were a songwriter and doing really well and working with all these great artists, then what made you then go, actually, so how did the A&R thing happen? Were you headhunted, or is it something you wanted to do? How did that happen? Yeah.
I'm glad that you went. I didn't really answer your question. I was like, that's so funny. I was like, I went on. I was like, anyway, about dogs.
No, but that's why I love this. This like, to me, this is not an interview. This is just it's conversation, right? So I'm just genuinely interested in how you would go from that step, from being a songwriter to an A&R, and also like, what makes a good A&R? Because I would seriously think, if you're an artist and a songwriter, like I said, we love most of our stuff. So we're going to go, oh, fuck, this is amazing. And then other people might go, well, no, it's not. And then you have to then make that same decision for other songs and go, this is amazing. Why should they trust you?
Well, it's really a trick question. It's like, this is a really interesting question for me at this time, because basically, like, first of all, coming up as an artist, being signed to a label before the streaming era, well, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, like, obviously Spotify, like, I was signed to Island Def Jam up until like 2014. So it was really like when Spotify first started. But the A&R process for me personally was like not a great experience. So I always felt like the word A&R, and I still feel the word A&R is very, it's like a trigger point. It's like, I get really insecure about the word. I'm like, I'm not an A&R. What do you mean? Like, you know,
break it down.
Yeah,
Tell me why.
I'm telling myself that.
Also, not to interrupt you, just for our audience, could you explain what an A&R actually does? Because I think a lot of people, even myself included, I worked in the industry, and I still am. What do these guys do again?
What A&Rs do is like obviously they set up sessions and like, you know, help sort of put the project together. But for me, it's like, I never wanted to be an A&R at all. Like, the only reason I even like got into it, and I'm just, so basically I, as a songwriter, it's really tough unless you're constantly having like big hits, you know, obviously to monetize those things, because it's like, even on streaming, like, you know how it is, you could get 250 million streams on a song that you wrote and make nothing, you know, unless it's still like that. Even with TikTok, as a songwriter, you're only making money if it's like on radio or it has a big sync, you know.
Isn't
so
that
forever
crazy?
No, it's crazy. And like, the thing is, like, this all, like, life sort of just happens, but like, you know, you never really plan for this stuff. But for me, it's kind of going from an artist, I had so many things on the shelf for so long. It was just so like funny, because now you just have to put music out all the time. But like, when I came off the label, I guess I was just like excited to write with other people that my music could actually come out. So I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. But I feel like the projects I was always very attracted to working with were always like very like the cool project, like not necessarily things that were like obvious radio things, right? So, but I never wanted to compromise my integrity to like, I wanted just to do what I love. And that's always how I've been. That's where I feed my energy. That's why I'm in music, you know? But fast forwarding into the A&R thing, it was like, I started writing with Lennon when she was on the TV show Nashville when she was 14, her and her sister Maisie. And I was like, you know, this could be a really cool opportunity to develop an artist, because I'd already like been working with her and like, you know, just vocal production, songwriting, like all this stuff. And I really I never thought A&R at all. It was never like, oh, I'm going to A&R. It was just, I want to just develop her and sign her and have artists that I can like work with. And at that point, I didn't have a track record on doing it before. So you can do like, hey, give me a label to sign this girl. Like, you know, and you're a female like in this business that, you know, everybody knows as an artist, that you're like, oh, if I bring an artist in, will I get fucked? Probably. So I'm just like, so I guess for me, I actually knew Barry Weiss from when I was signed to Island Def Jam. So I brought her to Barry and ended up doing that. And it just ended up being a really great place to sort of prove that I could develop an artist, you know?
Well, listen, can I just stop you and say, well fucking done on that? Because she is so good.
She's sick. Yeah, she's dope.
She is so good. And the fact that you found her from that early age and developed her, and the fact that I'm sure that she trusts you like implicitly, and you guys have this beautiful relationship, you've done a great job on that.
No, I appreciate that. And like, but yeah, so it was really that. And I think as time sort of went on, I realized, like, as anything you do in life, I was like, what I liked about the A&R process, to your point, when you asked what an A&R does, like today it's become so much more like research driven. So people are looking at charts all the time, and like, and that part does not excite me, you know, like I don't, and it's, and that's just personal, you know, like I'm in such an artist still. So if you were to ask me what I think A&R is, like, I feel like, you know, like Quincy Jones, like, cause I'm like a producer, you know, like I vocal produce, I'm an artist, you know, this is what I do. So to me, it's like, I look at it more like that. Like I really respected like I respect Linda Perry or Kara DeGordy or people like that, where I feel like are like people that I feel like are more like what I see myself as less of like what I feel like modern day A&R is, which is a lot of what is modern day A&R is the research aspect, right? Yes. So for me, mine is like development. So I really get in there. I'm writing, I'm vocal producing. I'm doing like real creative stuff where I'm really helping create a vision with the artist, you know, almost like a band. Like it's but obviously I'm not the artist, but I'm just like helping to guide their vision. It's really their vision, but I'm helping to like really
with like, your years of experience as well.
Right. So that's how I do my process. And so basically coming to now, it's funny because I basically over the last 3 years was doing this and kind of was starting to like get into this place of A&R where I was like, this is really not what I want to be doing. Like, this is like way too callous. I'm too emotional. Like, I love art too much. Like, I can't, you know? And then last year I was really lucky because I had a big hit with this girl, Benee, with the song Supalonely that I wrote. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And that really just like reminded me that like, you know, what I'm in it for. And I think that like what was so cool about having that particular hit was that Benee was an artist that I worked with because again, she wasn't an artist that's like, oh my God, this girl is like made for the radio. It's like, no, I fucking love this music and I don't care. It could get 2 streams and I'll work with her. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm interested in doing. I want to work with artists that I care. I don't even like want to think of the numbers. I just want to write with them because I fucking think they're great. And that's all that counts. And so when that song worked, I was like, I can't like do I think what my path is more like an executive producer because I feel like that's sort of how I love development, but I don't like modern day A&R. It's just not for me.
I love that you explained it that way and I totally understand why that word A&R triggers you because let's be honest, bloody Todd, how much do A&Rs get shat on by people in the creative side?
Oh my God, crazy. Okay, I know, I'm sorry. I know I'm like loud and obnoxious. I keep interrupting, but let me just tell you, I did a session with this girl one time and I literally go and she goes, oh my God, like I was looking you up before we did the session and like said you did A&R and I almost canceled the session. And she's like, but you're actually cool. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I know exactly why. I agree. You're right. Yeah.
You need to take it off your wiki then.
Because why is that? As in, is it like actually Todd or actually all 3 of you? Because I mean,
Adam, I'll tell you why. Because look, so remember that story that I told you about So Sick and my A&R, my last label? Yeah. Same reason. That it's like so Jenna, real quick, I'm gonna quickly tell you. So before I was signed to Cash Money, I was signed to Virgin Records in the beginning of my career, and there was an A&R there. So I wrote my first,
okay.
I know what you mean now. Okay, fine.
My first 3 big hits were with Stargate, and so obviously these guys were killing it in that pop R&B vein, and Tor from Stargate called me and he said, listen, man, I know you write your own songs, but we've been writing with this American songwriter. He has a sound that sounds just like you. We think there's a song that is going to be huge for you. Do you want, I think you should consider cutting it. I said, cool, let me hear it. He's like, no, I sent it to your A&R. And I said, okay. So I call up Glenn. I'm like, hey man, let me listen to the Stargate song. He's like, it's all right. It's okay. To be honest, it's not a smash. And of course, fast forward, that song was So Sick by Neo.
Oh.
So you can understand why when people say A&Rs, we're like, really? Okay, so you got the perfect ear, do you? You fucking know every hit that's going to come. And then we're writing a song and we'd be loving it. And they'll come in, they'll be like, I'm not sure about that melody. And you're like, dude, can you just leave? Let me get my creative thing out. And so that's why I understand why you would feel like that, Jenna.
Yeah, and by the way, I love that story. And like, and here's the thing: there are good A&Rs, and this is not to say that like, okay, like just like a shit fest. But I will say, like, just for as a creative myself, and like just in terms of who I am, myself and what I feel that I'm good at. Like, I understand that this is a business, right? Like, it's weird, it's like almost like an oxymoron, the music business. It's just so super weird. But it is a business, and there are some people that are just trying to make money, and I get that. But to us, we're trying to make art and music, and that's why it's called the music business, right? We're trying and so for me, that's why that doesn't make sense. And I've never really understood, like, when somebody hasn't ever played music or really been in it, that is able to, I mean, it can't happen. I don't know if you watched the Clive documentary, and it's so crazy. I mean,
I didn't see it yet. I want
he was a lawyer. He never did music, and he had a magic ear, and that does exist. It's just that, it's rare. And I do think that, it's just, if you're not a musician and you're telling me that, like, hey, this chord, it's like, you can't even explain why, or like, why not? You know what I mean? Or like, what chord, or what's better than, you tell me, you know what I mean?
Todd, bloody Todd over here, when we do our mixing, when he's mixing for these records, the classic thing where the person from the label is like, I feel like the hi-hat's too loud, or the blah, 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 the tom's too, and what do? Fucking nothing. Send back the
same file back with the new title.
Sounds great. Sounds awesome. Whatever you did was amazing.
Dude, it's so wild. It's so true. Dude, it is legitimately so true. And it's like, somebody told me one time that somebody was like, oh my God, just make it sound like more green or something. And, and they literally just sent the same shit in. They're like, oh my God, yeah, like, that's fucking brilliant. And then it comes out, and they're like, if it does well, they'll be like, that was all me. I found the song. And then if it shits the bed, they're like, I told you so. That should have been blue. I told you it should have been blue the whole time, not
wrong
green.
Shade of green.
And you're like, bro, like, no. That's why I'm saying, like, this A&R shit is just like, absolutely not. And then also, like, I'm telling you, it destroys relationships with artists. Like, as a songwriter, dude, like, as an artist, like, all these roles that I've like been in and like done and like still am, it's like, I know what that is. Like, how are you going to sit in the room with your A&R person who is going to report back to whoever it is that wants to fucking make money? So how are you going to like write the best song that you want to write, meanwhile sitting with somebody that you feel doesn't necessarily have your back? Like, that doesn't like work. You need to know that somebody is in it with you and isn't going to be like against you,
Well, to that end, Todd, you brought up something a couple of days ago on one of the other podcasts about how, sessions are changing, and that's because of coronavirus. Like, right now, all of you, you're all recording music from your basements, your second rooms, Todd, in your exactly, his bedroom, but and then obviously in my industry, I work in film and entertainment. Everyone's figuring out now that, like it or lump it, we can make music from our houses, and is this going to fundamentally shift the industry? Like, is going to be gone are the days of flying you guys out to places with stock fridges and candles and flowers in lovely studios? Once the money men start sort of seeing that, we can still run this business and there's no overheads. Like, is that, Todd, you were saying you actually prefer this bubble that you've been created. You don't have to have the A&Rs in the room with you anymore. You don't have to have them like critiquing and nitpicking you, because they ain't there, and they're not going to sit on the Zoom session for the 9-10 hours that the thing's going on. So that's the benefit. But the cost is this increased isolation, where you're going to be kind of like, we can just do it all from home and we'll never meet each other in person. Like you just did that, Jenna, with Supalonely, with, like you made a song almost, as it sounds like, transnationally. What are the pros and cons of this shift in the music industry?
Well, it's funny because we actually wrote Supalonely before this all happened, even though it blew up during quarantine, which was so interesting. Like we had another interesting, like the song, we wrote the song in August 2019, and she put it out. She put it out, I think, in October, I want to say, or November, and like everyone wanted to move on. There's no way anyone thought it sounded like a hit, by the way. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was about to be like, oh yeah, that's a cool song. Let's keep it moving, And it just, it was one of those moments where it just like TikTok spoke. I mean, as it does, it's just like a funny time. I mean, so that isn't necessarily an example of this, but to your question in terms of Zoom, or like these type of sessions. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm constantly asking myself the same question. I think that it's going to definitely, like it's 100% going to change the way we work. Absolutely. How could it not, But I just wonder if it's going to be like, there's still magic in in-person sessions.
There is.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, Jenna. I was going to say there's some chemistry, isn't there? Some magic there, because there have been times where I've been in a room with a songwriter and their energy is so either off that I'm like, this session's just going to go to shit, or their energy is so beautiful, it just brings you up too. And then something happens, the most strangest industry in the world we're in, where two complete strangers come out and pour their whole heart out to each other to strike an instant rapport for the sake of writing a song in one day. It's so weird, isn't it?
It is so weird. And that's actually one of the reasons why I started Green Room too, by the way, because I was like, the songwriting process is so therapeutic, right? And you go in and it feels like, hey, I came to a therapy session or a blind date, and I'm going to just talk to you about my whole life. And I don't even fucking know you, but I'm going to tell you everything, And it's kind of like, cool. We as musicians can purge our emotions and our feelings into our music, and that therefore helps us heal. Not everybody has that. But I think in that there's something very interesting and humanizing for like a fan, to hear that you may be struggling with a similar thing as they are. And I think that's something that's very interesting to in this time that we're living in, because it's so inclusive, and we're able to reach more people in that by doing these type of things, right? Because I think what we experience in the room as songwriters and writing, artists and musicians and all these things that we're able to do, we can actually do that and sort of like bring other people into our world, and more than we could have before, because we're living on, like, we could, send a Zoom link or like have people tune into a podcast or whatever it is. It's like, there's something really nice about being able to connect to more people. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely think in a weird way, I've been able to connect more to people. Like, I'm working with a girl and I'm executive producing a girl from Singapore. I'm working with a girl, Norway, Sweden, New Zealand. Like, it's like time zones are crazy, but it's so cool that I'm able to do that and not feel like, okay, I have to like take 2 weeks to go to like Singapore or Hong Kong. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I will miss the travel and the per diems though. So
I missed that. I just did the craziest shit the other day. I wrote a song cut a song. Well, wrote a song first, like this over Zoom. And I was sitting right here and they were in London. The other day, so Todd and I, Todd over here obviously is my and friend. I should say friend first.
Todd.
And so he records me. Now we managed to find a system where he can record me remotely from LA. He takes control of my laptop. I have Pro Tools on my laptop. So in real time, he's cutting me as if he was in the room with me. And I'm sitting here in my basement in Jersey.
Oh, I actually that's what I'd been doing. I record. So I vocal produce. And so basically I do sessions through Source Connect, and I record them in real time as well.
That's cool, right?
Yeah. It's so cool. I've been doing that this whole like quarantine. That's like how I've been like working. It's so crazy.
Okay. Me and Bloody thought we were the only people doing it.
So it has the potential then, like, especially you go back to discovering new people. Like, if you're working with people in Singapore and around the world, like, there's a chance that the upside of this pandemic and this kind of weird moment we're in at the moment, you're going to start being able to do this around the world and bring more artists to bigger audiences.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, for example, I vocal produced the BTS song Dynamite on online, which is so and like it's crazy because I mean, I'm sure. I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't, I know, like, that was my first time working with them. And like, you know, obviously I can't compare it to what would have been in person, but it like worked. And I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe that was in quarantine. So, I mean, I think people are going to miss the magic of complete in person. But I think if you're going to ask me, I think it's going to be half and half. This is what that's what a lot of people have been saying. I think people are I think life just won't be as like necessarily regimented, like even particularly in the music business. Cause I know that like even my publisher is like they've talked about potentially having like, you know, not having to necessarily go to the office every day, you know? And it's kind of like, so I think that people will want that, and they'll want that camaraderie, like that person to person thing. But I think this will give us the liberty to sort of do both. Yeah. And I think that's ideal. But one point I will make, this is a funny point. Like, so I actually did 2 writing camps during this period, which is so fun, but very, very safe. We had a doctor on site, all this stuff. And, but anyway, I guess my point is to say like the magic of being in person was like, you were just like, oh man, like I forgot what this feels like. But I will say sometimes the magic and the energy you get so caught up in, and it's so much fun. And it's like this, like euphoric, like endorphins, like, oh my God, this is the best. And you just think it's like, oh, this is the best song. It's a smash. You wake up the next day and like, this is an awful song. Like, what were we thinking, you know? Whereas like Zoom can be more productive sometimes, not as fun, but like the result can be better.
You know why I think that might be, Jenna? Because can I tell you why I think that might be?
Oh, yeah,
because let's be honest. We are all, as much as we're all a little bit sick of Zoom.
Yeah.
Because we're on it all the time. We kind of can't wait to get off and close that laptop and get on, do something else.
No, you're just like,
so you're not going to really fuck around as much on a Zoom. You know what I mean? You're not going to go and spend 2 hours talking about the game and talking. You're going to be like, all right, man, right? The focus is going to be a bit more there. And I think that's probably what's.
But what you were saying about the magic, Jenna, again, just reading up on that Supalonely track, you said it's in another interview that it started off as like you were just messing around. It was a bit of a joke. And like, you were like, is this and it suddenly evolves and morphs into like, oh, this sounds pretty fucking good. Like I was going to ask both you, like, Jay, you've kind of mentioned some of that stuff before, and like, what are those songs that have been there for you?
Yeah.
And Jenna, like, how does that work?
Yeah, Jenna first.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, like, it's really funny because I think from my experience, it's like the songs that feel like the easiest, and it's like that initial magic, right? Like they're always different. Like sometimes it's like you have that initial 15 minutes where you're like, oh my God, like this is absolutely amazing. And sometimes it will take you like a couple weeks or more to like button up and really finish. Or sometimes you can just literally write the song in 30 minutes like we did with Supalonely, and it's just like too good to be true. You're like, how do I work every day, 20 hours a day? And like the song that I write in 40 minutes is the song that becomes the biggest of my career. Like that can't be real, you know, but that's why we're in like, this is the magic of the business we're in.
100%.
Jay, what about you?
When I used to write with Jared Cotter, we used to do our songs. We used to here was our approach. Ready? Our way of not overthinking a song was we just wanted to get it done so that we could go out in Miami. That was it. We were in Miami Hit Factory and we just wanted to hit the strip every night and just go and get drunk and have fun. So we would be in a session and I would literally, this is how down happened. I'm like, you ought to know. I'm like looking at him going, sounds cool, right? He's like, yeah. And then he's like, well, what do you want to know? I was like, I don't know. Tonight is the night to let it go. Yep, put it down. And that's it. We just wrote this shit without overthinking so we could get the fuck out of there.
That's so true. Oh my God, legit.
Okay. But it depends on the kind of song, because this was a fun, up-tempo kind of song.
Right.
It didn't need nobody's going to be overthinking the lyrics in a song like that.
No, this happens to get too much fun.
If it's a beautiful acoustic, like if it's like an Older Than I Am kind of thing by Lennon, you're not going to fuck around with lyrics there. You're going to think about some emotional lyrics because it deserves it. So my approach has always been, what does this song need? If this song is just to make people dance and have fun, don't get too crazy on the lyrics, man. Just give them some shit that feels good. And that's how I kind of, right?
No, 100%. And you're so right. Like, it's always different, like, especially to like, now that I do a couple different, like, put different hats on depending on like what I'm doing. And I think, for example, like, the Max Martin approach, right, with the vocals, and I find that really inspiring. I love vocal production. I love arrangements. I love that stuff, and I think sometimes you can have a hit song, everything's amazing, but like the vocal production can take hours and hours and hours, but like it's so worth it because once you get to that place, you're like, oh my God, it was a hit before, but now it's like, wow. Like, so I think it's really like each thing is like a painting, and it's just like, it's really, I think this thing, like to your point of not overthinking, I think it's like following, how do you say it? I'm trying to think of the best example. Like, you know, it's like, okay, if it was a kid, it's like, what's the best for this kid? If this kid, you know, wants to be a gymnast and they're not flexible, it's like, you want to, you know, they maybe they shouldn't be a gymnast. You know what I mean? Like, don't force something that doesn't unnatural. Is that a good example?
Yes. No, it's so true. I always used to say that in the studio. I used to be like, and you know what started happening the more years, because I think me and you have been in the business for the same amount of years, to be honest.
Totally,
and, right. So the amount of years that I have spent songwriting, the one thing I go by 100% now. If we are just killing ourselves trying to make this work, or this line's not working, or this melody, and if I'm not excited enough about this shit to want to hop back there and record it in this second, fuck it. Scrap this song, because like I can't, it's not, some songs might be worth it. Like you're like, no, it's one line. Come on, we're nearly there. But if we both know, you look around the room and I can see you, Jenna, and I can tell like you're just going through Instagram. You don't really give a shit about this song.
Right.
We both know what's up. It's just like, you know what? Hey guys, fuck this song, man. Who be kidding? You know what I mean? Let's move on to something else. Let's move something on someone else. That's how I really approach my songwriting now. I really don't try to force it too much.
No, and I love that you said that, because sometimes it's like, I think like thinking back to like years ago writing, just like wanting so bad to like, you know, be successful. Of course, like you have that feeling, you're like, oh, I want to like be able to accomplish this thing, but maybe you don't have the knowledge. And again, back to how we first started this conversation, like maybe the confidence or like just this, you don't even know how to tap into that guttural feeling that helps to manifest. I didn't like, I really understand the idea of manifestation now more than I ever have in my entire life, ever. But I don't know that I was capable of understanding what that actually meant, like the connection with the universe and like the real like thing of like really trusting yourself. And I think that before you would just force it because you're like, okay, well, I'm writing with like these people that like had big hits, so like they can give me a hit and like, oh my God, I want to be a part of this. But like now I'm just like, no, like I love that.
We definitely need to hang out. I'm serious, because we're on that same energetic level as well. I'm all about that. I am all about that shit, man. I'm telling you. Look, I know this has been amazing, and I've really, really absolutely loved this, and more so love the fact that you're my next door neighbor. This is just so fun because we can carry this on now. But I did want to ask, I just want to say, just sort of before we leave, like, you know, the reason I do these podcasts is because for the people who are listening, you know, we know the ins and outs of the music industry, and they only know the product. They only hear the song. They don't know what goes on behind the song. They don't know the stories behind the songs. They don't know what it took. Is there anything right now, I'm just asking, if there's not, it's fine. Is there any kind of fun anecdote that you can think of where people would go, no way, seriously, that happened before I heard that? Or maybe with, you know, Supalonely, is there something like happened before a line was made or before a song, or something silly or fun that they can take away from this?
Ooh, Jay, I like this. I like this part of the podcast. Let me think. I'm sure.
I'll give you an example. I don't know. Jared Cotter, who I used to write the song with, I was dating Tara secretly for a while. And then Tara came in, and only Jared didn't know either that we were dating. Nobody really knew. And I said, and as she walked into the studio, I was like, "What's up, baby?" And I did that. And then everyone in the room was like, and right. And it was just Jeremy. Jeremy knew, but then Jared was like,
"The fuck was that?"
And then he literally went, "I won't tell." Like, dramatically. Guess what?
Shit.
We ended up writing a song called I Won't Tell, and that was the melody. It went, I won't tell, I won't tell. Yeah. And it's just because of what happened as she walked into the room.
Okay, I have a funny one because it just happened 2 days ago.
Okay.
But I can't tell you the end. Well, okay, but I'll tell you what happened because it's actually really funny. So I wrote with this guy Joshua Bassett the other day, and so do you know who he is?
No, I'm not familiar. Maybe I
Okay,
should.
so he's from High School Musical.
Okay.
And basically his ex-girlfriend is Olivia Rodrigo, who has a song.
Okay, yeah, of course.
It's like the biggest song.
Oh, so he's the guy.
So basically he's
he's the guy that it's about. Oh, fuck.
And he's so talented, by the way. He's like he's an incredible musician. So anyway, we're writing, and like he had a really scary thing happen, which is totally public. So I can like he put it on Instagram. He had some crazy thing with his heart. He had to go to the hospital like 2 weeks ago. He was in the ICU. He's okay now, but basically he was just telling us about it and all this kind of thing. And so basically just about his experience in the hospital and stuff. And then so basically my friend was here, and like after we were talking about that, it was like a deep conversation. And then basically my friend just kind of mentioned like he was wearing a hoodie, and he goes, "Oh my God, like your hoodie's so cool. I know the artist that's on your hoodie." And I had never heard of him. He's like, his music's dope. He's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you know this guy." Like no one knows him, but he's so dope. And I was like, "Oh, cool. I can't believe I want to know about this guy." So I like pick up my phone. Legit, this is like what happened. It was right in this room. Literally, like open the phone. I my Spotify wasn't open, and I kid you not, driver's license starts blasting.
Oh no!
And I wasn't even like listening. Like it just randomly started playing, and I wouldn't turn off. I was
now
like,
playing Olivia Rodrigo. Drive. No.
That's so awkward.
Dude, it was the craziest thing, but like thankfully, like if he was so cool that he started, like all of us were just hysterically laughing. He's like, "All right, well that was the elephant in the room," like, and so let me just put it this way. A fucking incredible song came out of it. I'll tell you that.
There you go. Look at that. That's so brilliant and funny. I love that. I feel like that's just the universe just having a laugh. That's like God's up there going, "This is a perfect opportunity. Play."
Like he literally was like said that. He was like, "Dude, that is for like fully the universe." Like what? Like I swear I was not listening to it, and like my phone does that sometimes, and I just literally like I could not stop it. It was blasting. I'm like, okay, like this is not happening right now. So that's pretty iconic. I just had to tell that.
That might be the best one so far, Jay.
I absolutely love it. It's so good. All right, Jenna. Well, listen, darling. We will let you go. This has been so fun.
I'll see you at yoga.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, I'll see you at yoga or at sushi.
Actually, I have one last question quickly, Jenna.
Yeah, of course.
Is the line, I need to know this.
Okay.
Is it, I guess I'm a quitter or I guess I'm a critter?
Well, everybody thinks I guess I'm a critter. Everybody thinks that. Like
critter, like, or quitter, like I give up.
It's quitter. But why? It's like, does it really sound that much like critter? Like,
yes, it does. I literally almost, and even on YouTube when I was like, and the closed captions came up, and it was like a critter. That doesn't even make sense. Like I'm like, it can't be that. But on YouTube it says, I guess I'm a critter. I'm like,
I know. Literally everybody. You guys want to know something hilarious too? Oh shit, that is another anecdote. The lyric used to be shitter.
Brilliant. Why not?
And the producer was like, and me and Benee were like, oh, we loved it. We were like, this is so funny. Like, people are going to love it. And the producer's like, absolutely not. We're not.
Oh, wait. You know
that's not going to radio.
And we were like, I was like, no. We were both like, no. Like, seriously, it's so good. And he was just like, fine. And then he just took it out. He just took it out and sent us a version without it. Yeah. We're like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
Twitter, not shitter.
Good.
I love it.
I'm going to do that from now on.
So
amazing.
Fun. Anyway, no, I appreciate you guys. This has been so fun.
Oh, I'm so glad it has been.
I'm like, this is so great. I love these type of conversations. It's so great.
Same. I love it too. All right, but listen, I'm serious about. I'm gonna get your info then from Jeremy or whoever, and then man, because now you got a friend down the road, and wherever you want, we got some there's some great restaurants that we know around here as well that we got like the little tuck up with that they'll take care of us.
Dude, please. That would be amazing. Right? Neighbors, we have to. So let's definitely connect us.
Okay, cool.
All right,
wicked. All right, bye, guys.
Yeah, bye.